and his co-Achim Bergman, well, they only know one way. Fast, very fast. On day one, Hutchinson lost more than 5 minutes, but here on day 3, he was probably taking back triple that. For Berthold and Houghton, well, the big man is fearless behind the wheel. Don't believe us? Here's the proof. Bevan Berthold and Robin Houghton rode most of their Castrol Toyota's bodywork right off it the day before, but Toyota Motorsport manager Wami Haddad's lads did a great job and she looked good as new. Buriaba and Rousseau in their Total Motorsport Porter was the second special and only the second in the top 10, proving that the dust and the route was much tougher for the men without windscreens. The absolute bat of Clint Gibson and Mike Brown impressed when it made its way past. They were up from 23 overall and going well. While the Rapsabat of Norris Alberts and Colin Hunter battled several punches the day before, which cost them loads of time, they were desperate to make it up. But none of this worried the De Bruins. They were quietly but rather quickly going about their business. After all, by now they had led this race for almost 700 kilometers, and it looked likely that they could do it for another 300. While their Toyota stablemate Cronier, an established track star and rally driver too, was making his way past the Nissans, most notably Grobler. And it was clear that the man had had trouble. His teammate Force had passed him too, and the Nissan Navara was sounding good. With another Nissan, Corbett and Moore's Navara also closing the gap to the front, things were getting interesting. Harkis and Moore next roared into view, and the Ford Ranger was certainly responding well to the coaxings of the big man. The Sulwalds were still holding station amongst the front runners in the production cars, while leading the specials by a good 60 seconds. Twice winners last season, the Harpers were slowly edging their way closer and had made their way past 1 or 2 of the production cars. Nick is a cagey old fox at the best of times, while Fissler and Badenhorst are also 2 wily campaigners who know their way around the African bush. It showed. Hutchison and Bergman in the Motorite Spec 3-Bat were seemingly over the problems from the day before and were pushing hard. While Berthold and Houghton had also been very consistent early on, taking a slightly more cautious approach. But they had Buriaba all over their rear-view mirrors and couldn't relax for a second. With the Gibson-Brown combination feeling the pinch of the route, saying it was designed for the buckies. Herman Sulwald and Paul Hellberg had an 8th in the prologue and were building on that with a strong early showing on Sunday after 100-odd kilometers of racing. With Gary Berthold and Henry Kirstein in the second Atlas Copco Bat also closing in on the men ahead of them too, it was getting tight. Marsh and Grunewald were also growing in confidence, and the Regent Racing Bat was starting to sing to their tune. The defending Super Production Car champions Woolrich and Shorthammer were also going well after sorting out earlier troubles and were trying to make their way up the order after starting off 18th overall. With amateur photographers everywhere, the Whites in the Rubicon Bat were working hard in the 27th edition of the Desert Race and up into the top 10 in the specials. But they had Whitehouse and Langton to contend with, and these 2 Regent Racing racers had closed the gap considerably too. While their teammates, the Kreis, would not let them relax for a second, Jan and Hendrik looking for win number 4 in a row in 2007. Norwegian adventurer Ivar Tollefsen and his nav, Englishman Quinn Evans, had got the Nissan boys to repair all those loose bits, and they were also going superbly. But Fontoner and Guelpa were distributing those loose bits this time, the Ford Ranger looking worse for wear early on. Wonder what the bush looks like. With Musaji and Bordagna also pushing as hard as they possibly could, but maintaining a certain level of holding back. The spectators got their money's worth in the drag race for the shadow of the bridge between Schroeder and the Barkhesens, and the SP predictably got there first. In the race for Class B honours, Best Bezuidenhout and Johan de Bruin in the Adenco bat were a few minutes down on the Kruis, but had not given up hope. And in the Rubicon bat, Louw de Bruin and Rudy Brits were up into a very challenging position. And in Class D, Malcolm Koch and Wayne Brink in the Castrol Toyota were setting the pace very nicely. Alberts and Hunter are well known as strong finishers, and here in Botswana they're up to their old tricks again. But the African bush, heat and dust, would still be taking its toll. And by the middle of the day, the dust was getting worse. In Class E, Peckham and Santoro were second, going along with a great drive, followed by Castrol Toyota's Brian Martin and Hoki Fourie, who seemed to be burying last year's ghosts in the Botswana sand. Ramon Bezuidenhout and Stefan Locke were through next, and they had made a significant move, up from 31st overall and going well in class. With Jannie Visser and Joks Leroux in the next Castrol Toyota also looking destined for a good finish and a top 5 finish if they could keep things together. Someone who knows a lot about that is Ryobi's Henry Zermatten. He holds the world record for consecutive off-road finishes, and his conservative first-day drive was starting to pay off. With the RFS Nissan of the deploys up into the top 20 production cars for the first time, and in the top 5 in Class D. In Class S, Schilling was having it all his own way as he was the only car still on the road in class. The desert race continues.
Going the extra mile to get you financed.